If your hands or feet feel like they are being pierced by thousands of invisible needles, or if you have ever jolted awake in the middle of the night because the mere pressure of your bedsheets against your toes was more than you could bear, I need you to stop everything right now and pay close attention. There is a quiet, progressive crisis unfolding inside your body at this very moment, and the standard medical response of simply managing the pain is abandoning millions of seniors. What you are experiencing is not poor circulation or an unavoidable consequence of getting older. It is a biological distress signal from nerves that are quite literally dying of starvation. But here is the reality that most physicians are too overwhelmed to sit down and explain. This starvation is not random, and in many cases it is not permanent. My name is DR.Michonne. Throughout my years analyzing senior health, I have worked with patients who had completely given up, people who could no longer feel the gas pedal beneath their foot, who struggled to fasten a button, who were afraid to step onto anything but perfectly flat ground, and who managed to stop that decline and even push it backward. They did not accomplish this with heavier doses of painkillers. They did it by activating a specific metabolic switch that governs how your nerves consume fuel. Today I am going to take you through a complete, comprehensive masterclass on nerve repair. We are going well beyond the surface. I will show you the precise, fat-soluble nutrient that bypasses the blockage inside your cells, the common wellness habits that are secretly accelerating your nerve damage, and the exact protocol you need to begin rebuilding your body's internal wiring. Before we reach the solution, we have to be brutally honest about the problem, because if the mechanism is not clear to you, fixing it is impossible. The condition we are examining is peripheral neuropathy. Peripheral refers to the outer edges, your hands and feet. Neuro means nerves. Pathy means suffering, the suffering of the outer nerves. It typically begins quietly. Perhaps it feels as though you are constantly walking on a bunched-up sock, even when your feet are bare, or your feet feel frozen to the touch while they burn from the inside. These are contradictory signals, and your brain is confused because the wire connecting it to your foot is unraveling. This is what is known as the dying back phenomenon. Picture a long extension cord plugged into the wall. Pull the plug halfway out, and the lamp at the far end begins to flicker. In your body, that lamp is your foot, and the cord is your sciatic nerve, the longest nerve in your body. Because of its length, it is the most difficult to keep adequately nourished. When the body enters a state of crisis, whether from elevated blood sugar, chronic inflammation, or nutrient depletion, it begins rationing its resources. It withdraws supply from the extremities to protect the vital organs. Your feet are the first point on the supply line to get cut off. That tingling sensation you feel is the flicker of a lamp running out of power. It is a nerve cell crying out for oxygen and glucose that can no longer reach it. So why are these nerves starving? The primary culprit is a process called glycation. Picture a raw egg cracked into a bowl. The white is clear, fluid, and loose. Now imagine dropping that same egg onto a scorching sidewalk. It turns white, rigid, and dry almost instantly. That is essentially what excess sugar does to the proteins throughout your body. When blood sugar remains even slightly elevated over the course of decades, a condition common in prediabetes and insulin resistance, it generates a sticky, toxic coating that builds up around your nerve endings. This coating is called advanced glycation end products, or fittingly, AGEs. This sugar residue gradually blocks the microscopic blood vessels called the vasa nervorum that are responsible for delivering nutrients to your nerves. When these tiny vessels become congested, the nerve begins to suffocate. It is gasping. This suffocation sends an emergency signal to the brain, which you experience as pain, burning, or those sharp electric jolts. If the deprivation continues long enough, the nerve eventually surrenders. It dies. The pain disappears, replaced by something far more alarming: numbness. This is the danger zone. Pain is a warning signal. Numbness is silence. When you can no longer feel your feet, a minor cut can escalate into an ulcer, a serious infection, or worse. This is why intervention must happen before the silence becomes irreversible. And the intervention begins with a molecule called transketolase. This is where the science becomes genuinely promising. Your body possesses a built-in defense system against sugar damage. It is an enzyme whose job is to function like a highly specialized vacuum cleaner, pulling up toxic sugar byproducts and converting them into harmless energy. When this enzyme is operating at full capacity, your nerves remain protected, clean, flexible, and electrically conductive. But there is a catch. This enzyme requires one very specific fuel source to activate. Without it, the vacuum cleaner sits dormant and the sugar residue accumulates unchecked, destroying the nerve tissue around it. That fuel is vitamin B1, also known as thiamine. Thiamine is the ignition key for your entire nerve repair engine. Without it, the process cannot start, and nerve deterioration becomes inevitable. At this point, you may be thinking, "Dr.Michonne, I take a multivitamin every morning. I eat fortified bread and cereal. My B1 should be covered." This is the critical error. The form of B1 found in most multivitamins and fortified products is called thiamine mononitrate, or thiamine hydrochloride. These are water-soluble forms. They are inexpensive to manufacture, but your body is remarkably poor at absorbing them, especially as you get older. As we age, the lining of the digestive system changes. Stomach acid production declines. The ability to transport water-soluble nutrients across the gut wall weakens significantly. Research suggests that when you swallow a standard B1 tablet, as little as 5% may actually reach your bloodstream, and even less penetrates the nerve cell itself. Why? Because your nerve cells are encased in a fat-based protective layer called the myelin sheath. Attempting to push a water-soluble vitamin through a fat-soluble membrane is the biological equivalent of trying to blend oil and water. It simply repels. You could test with completely normal B1 levels in your blood while your nerves remain functionally starved, because the nutrient cannot enter the cell where it is needed. This brings us to the first pillar of the repair protocol, benphthiamine. Benphthiamine is not simply a better version of B1. It is structurally distinct. It is a fat-soluble derivative of thiamine. Because it shares the same fat-soluble nature as your cell membranes, it requires no special transporter to enter the body. It passes directly through the gut wall, through blood vessel walls, and most critically, through the fatty myelin sheath of the nerve itself. Research published in the International Journal of Clinical Pharmacology has demonstrated that benphthiamine raises active thiamine levels inside nerve tissue by up to 360% compared to standard supplements. The difference is not marginal. It is the difference between pouring a cup of water on a fire and arriving with a pressurized hose. When benphthiamine floods the nerve cell, it immediately activates the transketolase enzyme. The vacuum cleaner powers on. It begins clearing away the toxic sugar metabolites and reopening the pathways for cellular energy production. This is why patients frequently report a shift in symptoms within weeks, because it addresses the metabolic root of the problem rather than masking the surface signal. But we must also address something that compounds this deficiency in a way most people never suspect: your medication. If you are currently taking metformin for blood sugar, diuretics for blood pressure, or even chronic antacids for heartburn, you are being quietly depleted. We refer to these as nutrient-depleting drugs. Metformin is a genuinely valuable tool for blood sugar management, but it is well established for blocking vitamin B12 absorption and disrupting B1 metabolism. Diuretics compel the kidneys to eliminate fluid, and water-soluble vitamins like B1 exit right along with it. The irony is painful. The very medications prescribed to manage the conditions that lead to neuropathy, diabetes, and hypertension can simultaneously accelerate the nerve damage by stripping away the nutrients required for repair. This is not a reason to abandon your medication. That would be dangerous. But it is an urgent reason to supplement with intelligence. You are filling a container that has a hole in its base. You must replenish faster than it empties. The second pillar of nerve repair addresses the structural damage that has already occurred. Benphthiamine fuels the engine, but the insulation on your wiring, the myelin sheath, is frayed. Rebuilding it requires the master antioxidant, alpha-lipoic acid, or ALA. Unlike most antioxidants, which function only in water or only in fat, ALA operates in both environments. This allows it to reach every region of the nerve cell. Its primary function is to reduce oxidative stress, the biological rusting we discussed earlier. In Germany, alpha-lipoic acid has been recognized as a legitimate medical treatment for diabetic neuropathy for decades. The evidence is substantial. It demonstrates that ALA improves nerve conduction velocity, the speed at which signals travel through the nerve. When your nerves conduct faster, your balance sharpens. You sense the ground instantly rather than on a delay. One critical caution. Most budget supplements use a 50-50 blend of S-lipoic acid, which is synthetic, and R-lipoic acid, which is natural. The synthetic version absorbs poorly and can actually interfere with the natural form. You want to specifically seek out stabilized R-lipoic acid. It costs more, but it is biologically identical to what your own body produces. The third pillar is vitamin B12, but specifically methylcobalamin. This is the construction worker of the nerve. B12 is required to synthesize the myelin sheath itself. Without it, your nerves are exposed wires short-circuiting every time they come into contact with one another. A large proportion of seniors are deficient in B12 because, like B1, its absorption depends on adequate stomach acid. If you have been using antacids or proton pump inhibitors for years, your B12 levels are almost certainly compromised. And here is an important warning. Do not take cyanocobalamin. That is the synthetic form found in inexpensive vitamins, and it contains a cyanide molecule your liver must work to neutralize. Always choose methylcobalamin. It is pre-converted and immediately available for your body to deploy directly toward nerve repair. Now I want to address a hidden hazard I encounter constantly. People learn that B vitamins support nerve health and begin taking a B complex containing high doses of vitamin B6. This can be genuinely harmful. B6 occupies a unique position among nutrients. A deficiency causes nerve damage, but so does toxicity. This is known as the B6 paradox. Taking high doses of the synthetic form, pyridoxine HCl, over an extended period can cause it to accumulate in your tissues and actively destroy nerve endings. I have encountered patients consuming 100 milligrams of B6 daily under the belief they were helping themselves, while in reality, they were worsening their neuropathy. The principle for B6 is straightforward: moderation and form. Look for the active version called P5P, pyridoxal 5-phosphate. This form does not accumulate to toxic levels the way the synthetic version does, and a reasonable dose of 25 to 50 milligrams is more than adequate. More is not better. Better is better. When evaluating any nerve support formula, turn the bottle over. If you see pyridoxine HCl listed at 100 milligrams or more, set it back down. You want a formulation that respects the delicate balance of your neurology, not one that overwhelms it. The fourth pillar, frequently overlooked, is acetyl L-carnitine, or ALCAR. While benfotiamine clears the pathways and B12 rebuilds the insulation, ALCAR serves as the energy amplifier for the mitochondria, the power generators inside the nerve cell. Nerves are metabolically demanding. They consume enormous quantities of ATP to transmit their signals. Research demonstrates that acetyl L-carnitine helps reduce pain and promotes nerve fiber regeneration by enhancing mitochondrial efficiency. A meta-analysis of clinical trials confirmed meaningful pain reduction in patients taking ALCAR. It is particularly valuable when neuropathy is accompanied by muscle weakness or general fatigue. Now I want to shift from supplements to the internal environment you are creating. You can take all the benfotiamine available, but if you continue adding fuel to the fire will not go out. That fuel is inflammation, specifically the inflammation generated by industrial seed oils and refined carbohydrates. Vegetable oils such as soybean, canola, and corn oil are dense in omega-6 fatty acids. Consumed in excess, which is nearly unavoidable in a diet containing processed food. They become incorporated into your cell membranes, making them rigid and chronically inflamed, further obstructing nutrient delivery. If protecting your nerves is a genuine priority, you must initiate an internal oil change. Remove the oils that are jamming your cellular machinery. Replace them with stable, anti-inflammatory fats: olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil, and butter. These provide the raw building materials your body needs to reconstruct the lipid layers of your nerve tissue. Beyond that, you must aggressively reduce liquid sugar. Sodas, fruit juices, sweetened teas, these are accelerants for glycation. They elevate blood sugar so rapidly that your transketolase enzyme is overwhelmed before it can respond. Water, plain tea, and black coffee are your replacements. This single dietary shift can reduce the burden on your nerves by as much as 50% within a single week. Now I need to mentally prepare you for something called the awakening. When you begin this protocol, benfotiamine, RALA, and methylcobalamin, your nerves may start coming back online, and sometimes waking up is uncomfortable. As a previously dormant nerve begins to fire again, you may notice a temporary increase in tingling or electric sensations. I witness this regularly. Patients contact me saying the tingling has intensified. My response is always the same: good. That means the line is live again. Think of a foot that has fallen completely asleep. The moment you stand and circulation returns, it stings, buzzes, and throbs. But that discomfort is the sensation of life coming back. Neuropathy repair follows the same progression, from numbness, silence, to tingling, awakening, to burning, active repair, to normal sensation. Do not abandon the protocol because the activity increases. That is frequently a sign that you are moving away from the zone of permanent damage and back toward functional, living tissue. If pain becomes severe, consult your physician, but understand the distinction between damage pain and healing sensation. Magnesium also deserves its place in this conversation. Magnesium is the mineral of neurological relaxation. It blocks the NMDA receptors in the nervous system that are responsible for amplifying pain signals. When magnesium is deficient, and roughly 70% of seniors are running low, your internal pain volume is permanently set to maximum. Adding a quality magnesium glycinate supplement in the evening accomplishes two things simultaneously. It dampens the overactive pain signals that are disrupting your sleep, and it supports the enzymatic reactions that your B vitamins depend on to function. B1 and magnesium are biochemically inseparable. They perform better when taken together. Let me now bring all of this into a concrete, actionable daily protocol. I call this the Nerve Revive Protocol. Step 1. Morning fuel. With a breakfast that includes fat, such as eggs, take benfotiamine 300 milligrams and methylcobalamin B12 1000 micrograms. This delivers a concentrated repair signal at the precise moment your metabolism is activating. Step 2. The Shield. Take stabilized R-lipoic acid 300 milligrams. Some individuals absorb this better on an empty stomach, but if it causes discomfort, take it alongside food. Step 3. The Energy Boost. Acetyl L-carnitine 500 milligrams with breakfast to support morning cellular energy production. Step 4. Evening Calm. Magnesium glycinate 200 to 400 milligrams with dinner or before bed. This primes the nervous system for its rest and recovery cycle and helps quiet the nighttime leg cramps and restless sensations that rob you of sleep. Step 5. Lifestyle Lock. Eliminate vegetable oils and liquid sugar entirely. Commit to a 10-minute walk after your largest meal of the day. That walk draws down the glucose circulating in your blood before it can adhere to your nerve tissue. It is the most affordable and consistently effective medicine at your disposal. How long will this take? It is the question I receive most often. You did not develop neuropathy in a matter of weeks. It accumulated over years, possibly decades. Recovery follows a similar arc. The first 2 weeks represent the saturation phase, during which your nutrient levels are rebuilding. Weeks 3 through 6 are the activation phase, during which you may begin noticing changes in sensation. Months 3 through 6 are the regeneration phase. This is the period when you find yourself realizing, mid-afternoon, that you have not thought about your feet once all day. When you button your shirt without looking down. Patience is not passive. It is part of the prescription. Let me share a brief account from my practice. A patient I will call Robert, 72, a retired carpenter whose hands had defined his entire sense of identity, came to me with numbness so severe he could no longer grip a hammer. He was withdrawn and despondent. His physician had attributed it to arthritis and the natural course of aging. We placed Robert on a high-dose benfotiamine and RALA protocol. For 4 full weeks, he felt no change. He was ready to stop. We stayed the course. In week 5, he called me. He said, "Doctor, I felt the grain of the wood today." 6 months later, he was back in his workshop. Not a miracle. Biochemistry doing exactly what it is designed to do. A few contraindications you need to be aware of. If you are currently undergoing chemotherapy, speak with your oncologist before taking alpha-lipoic acid or high-dose B vitamins, as antioxidants can sometimes interact with certain chemotherapy agents. If you have hyperthyroidism, exercise caution with L-carnitine. And if you are living with chronic kidney disease, please review any supplement changes with your nephrologist before proceeding. Safety is not a secondary concern. It is the foundation everything else is built on. To bring this to a close, you are not without options. The numbness spreading through your hands and feet is a message, not a verdict. It is your body communicating that the fuel lines are congested and the wiring is deteriorating. You now have the map to address it. You understand the difference between standard water-soluble B1, which your nerves cannot access, and benfotiamine, which can reach them directly. You understand the role of RALA and methylcobalamin. You understand that your daily medications may be quietly draining the very nutrients your nerves depend on. You are now the one responsible for your own recovery. Do not wait until the silence becomes permanent. Begin feeding your nerves today. If this has genuinely changed how you understand your own nervous system, I am asking you to do 2 things. Share this with someone in your life who is suffering without answers. And subscribe to this channel. We are building a community of seniors who refuse to accept decline as the default outcome. In my next video, I'm going to address another condition most people believe is simply inevitable: high blood pressure, and the specific plant extract shown to relax arterial walls within 45 minutes. You will not want to miss it. Hit the notification bell. Leave your story in the comments below. I read every single one. And remember, your body was built to heal. It simply needs the right materials to do it. I am Dr. Michonne. Stay strong.